Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Amit. I'm going to be the host for this afternoon session of a lovely chat with some of the FMB alumni. I have three fine-looking gentlemen, and the best part is that I am in minority today because my name starts with A, and all the three people sitting here, the name starts with S. And I'm not going to do any kind of introduction for these people because I said I'm an outsider and all these people belong to SPJ. So we have on the extreme right, we have Sarth. Sarth, can you please say a hi to everybody?
Hi everyone.
And then we have Sharad.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good. Can we have it a little louder?
You're going to have to be louder than that, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Sharad, once again say a hi.
Okay, let's try this again. Hi.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. So I also have Sidharth here with me. Now Sidharth, don't say hi because Sidharth has already told me some of his friends are also sitting here. So let us.
So I am lucky. I got my own audience.
That's how it is. You know, you always should get your own lunch when you go to a hotel because hotel food is not sometimes nice. So he's done that. Thanks Sidharth for the same. Well, it's a chat. So the best part is we don't have a topic, right? So I'm going to do one quick thing, and I think this is what I call the horse's mouth. So let us hear it from all our fellow entrepreneurs that what is that they do, and most importantly, what tempted them or motivated them to also join the FMB program. If you're already a successful entrepreneur, college mein aake seekhne ko kya milta hai is something that I really want to know from these gentlemen. Sarth, we may begin from you.
Okay. So I can give you my background. So I was part of FMB 13 September batch. I joined my family business during the same time. And so when I joined the business, we had one plant. And by 2020, we had 7 plants in India, exporting to almost 46 countries. Post that, I realized that I'm probably the best manager in my company, not the best owner. And then I took that leap. And during the COVID time, when I got a lot of time to think over, I started, investing in startups. I started looking at other businesses and looked at how I can make my business, be more professionally driven rather than taking every small and important decision. So now I'm more of I would say, not a typical investor, but I look at business differently now. One thing that I've learned in FMB is that how to spend your money in 1 week, right? Because that is one thing that we have done pretty well, very efficiently. So कितना भी पैसा मिलता था घर से वो एक हफ्ते में कैसे खत्म करना है, we knew. So we used to party till 6 and be in the class by 8, 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. And I'm not talking about 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. So that is one thing, and that was because of the professors like Mr. Murthy, who used to ensure that we are in the class on the time and learning everything that is required. We had amazing time. The kind of bond that we have created here, the kind of networking that we have done here, the kind of learnings about the other people's business is very important, right? So I think for me it was even more important because I met my to-be wife in that session. So I probably utilized it the most.
Awesome. I think that's a very interesting story. The double whammy, triple whammy for him. Yeah. What about you, Sharad?
So I traditionally was in the transformer business. That is my family business. And I spent 10 years working in it. I'm currently working with a dairy concern. I've started a dairy firm 5 years ago. And this is something which was very close to my heart. And I wanted to try something new in any case. And the question actually is very relevant because FMB is the reason I could do this. I mean, it was probably the best decision I ever made. Like Professor Murthy is sitting in the audience making me slightly nervous, so I'll try to tell the truth. He's still a mentor for me. He used to teach us in class, and now 15 years later today, I still come. I'm not the only one. There are people still coming, getting counseling from him and going back to their cities. We're talking about a lifelong bond here. Secondly, all my friends, some of them sitting here, when you enter FMB, you're coming from a very sort of toad, tadpole, myopic view where you think you are the bee's knees, and then suddenly you come to Bombay and you realize everybody is bigger, badder and better than you. So it gives you the feeling of, you know, how in Jainism they say you are nothing and no one. So that is the first thing that Bombay and FMB teaches you, that everybody has done oodles more than you. And then you start talking to your peers and you realize you're all facing the same or very similar problems. And that peer-to-peer learning for us carries on to this day. So that is how FMB, I think, has shaped me and my company and given me sort of the courage and obviously a sort of a backbone, something I can lean on. Like I always have Murthy sir or my friends to ask, okay, am I doing the right thing, or, you know, and which is why the dairy concern I'm talking about, the good cow, is today in existence.
Awesome, thanks, Sidharth.
So I don't have any fancy stories to say. I have to very honestly, after my BCom, I didn't want to enter my business. So I thought, let me go to Australia and do some MBA there. So my father and mother said, ठीक है, कोशिश करते हैं, होगा, मेरा मिल गया admission. I was the only son. When I got the admission, my mom got very senti. बोला ये लड़का जाएगा, वापस नहीं आएगा. So it's better you find some college here. And उसके बाद में the only college which took me admission was SPJIMR Jain. Not because of my thing, because see, to be honest, I was not that bright कि मुझको IIM या good college में मिलता था, and I thought intend to have that academic. Or that was the SPJIMR was that time just started. So they had a very high fee, 3 lakh, 4 lakh rupees उस समय था, and we in the college में हम लोग सब सारे के सारे student देखते थे, every minute we are paying so much, and every minute हमको इसका पैसे का क्या return मिलने वाला है. So, but I think that was one of the best decisions I took in life, and what I got value from this college, institute, and even with my friends, like FMB too, we are all very thick, and everyone is sleeping, and there's still 17 of us are here just to listen to me, okay? So it is very, so that's what I got from the college.
Awesome, pretty nostalgic. Now, Sidharth, this question is specifically to you. What are the 2 to 3 learnings that you have from the FMB program that you have incorporated in your business and you have reaped good results?
See, when I started, when I joined the business, my business was very small. उस समय सर मेरे को बोलते थे कि you have to do management, time management for anything. Management is the key. How to manage HR, ये उस समय मैं और मेरा फ्रेंड दोनों मिलके बात करते थे, यार बिजनेस आना चाहिए, सेल आ गया तो हो गया काम, बाकी मैनेजमेंट उस समय कुछ समझता नहीं था कि MBA क्या है. But now after coming so many years, we still have those learnings and thought with us, and now we put into practice. So when I started my business at the age of 23. When I joined the business went into doldrums. We were doing some business, family business, and suddenly that business collapsed because of technological shift, and absolutely we have no business. There was a time when I was thinking, भाई हम लोग office की light चली जाएगी because we didn't have money to pay. And that time we started, at the age of 23, I started the company, and by God's grace, we managed to survive that phase, and we are doing good.
Awesome, awesome. Pretty interesting. I think what we generally learn in our colleges, sometimes it is difficult to incorporate as well, because we feel things are theoretical, they're academic, but I'm sure that the curriculum nowadays is such that we also can incorporate them in our businesses. Now, that's great. To Sarth and Sharad both, you have family businesses, and you now have so-called new age businesses or new businesses that are there, which are, I'm assuming, nowhere related to your family businesses, right? So what was the motivation to do that? And more importantly, I think, is it easier for people like you to start new businesses? Because finally plan B to hai na, usme ek problem kya hai? Agar ye fail ho gaya to you can always go back to your family businesses. Sarth, what do you think about that? What was your motivation? And do you think that since there is a plan B, it is easier to start a new business?
So, I think failure is not an option for anyone, right? Now, whenever you do anything, you really don't expect that if I fail, what? And for me, it was definitely a big decision, because, you are trying to move out of a business which is your cash cow, and then you want to hand it over to the professionals which can actually be jeopardized to a large extent. But for me, that was a bigger risk than entering into a new business, right? So if you ask me, to start a new business was not a option of plan A or plan B, but for the bigger risk was giving or handing over the current existing business to professionals, because that has no plan B, right? So that was my biggest leap of faith. Why did I do it? Because I was feeling underutilized, and being an engineer, being an MBA, having access to capital and resources, you are still doing what your family has been doing for last 3 decades, right? So you could go for forward integration, backward integration, but how do you really diversify? So for me, the best way to diversify was to invest in businesses and look which are most promising and performing businesses, and look at that. While I was doing it, I realized, the fundamentals of businesses will always remain same, right? Yes, you have to learn the new language, you have to learn the new frameworks, you have to learn a lot of other things, but then you don't have to really be scared, okay, how these new age economy businesses will work. They actually learn a lot from us rather than what we learn from them, because the fundamental remains the same. So for me, it has been a very exciting journey. People say that it's quite a leap, but I would say it's been quite a learning curve and exciting curve for me. So I'm really enjoying what I'm doing.
So you said you also invest in startups right now. How many startups have you invested in?
So my personal portfolio is 70 plus.
Awesome.
Where I have had almost 21 exits. But now, if you ask me where I hold majority equities, would be 15, 16 businesses now.
Fantastic.
And that's been a journey of 3 years.
So that's pretty agile. That's very fast, actually.
Yeah. Awesome. So I did, I didn't do it as an angel investor. I had a dedicated team. I had we worked with a lot of investment bankers hand in hand and did it. So our first investment was in India, but then the 5th onwards, we actually went outside India.
Awesome.
The idea was to invest in synergistic businesses so that you can hedge your risk.
Understood. Absolutely. Sharad, over to you.
So I'll answer the question in 2 parts. One is why I did it, which I think Tulsi ma'am had organized a talk earlier online, and this is a similar question posed to me by one of the older students. The difficult part of exiting a business is not just exiting it when it's making a loss. I think that is easy. It's a very justified thing to do. It's making a loss, so you leave. You realize you're not good at it and you hedge your bets. The reason I found it difficult and the reason I did it to begin with, my business existingly at the time was making money. And when you speak to your parents or your father, uncle, etc., most of us have joint businesses. It's very difficult to convince somebody that you want to do something new when the existing thing is going well. So their first question is, why would you do this? I mean, system is working, why do you want to change it? Problem kya hai? So how can you explain to them that, you've read Kierkegaard and he said you have to feed your soul? You can't say these things. So it was, first of all, very difficult to convince people to start something completely disassociated from your existing legacy business. Again, here, the institute helped me a lot, especially Murthy sir. So we did these exercises of what kind of a customer would suit me, how to select a customer. So customer selection exercises, things like that he had given me. And then I zeroed on 3-4 businesses and we finally chose dairy. Obviously, because dairy, there was a large part of disruptive work that had not been done. I mean, like we're talking about cheese and more sort of creative things where things were still not explored. So there was a basis for new things to happen. The second part is, of course, how I did it. So the whole idea of starting something new when you're in a legacy business is cutting the umbilical cord. So that was the most difficult thing for me to do. All of you are from large businesses, and I'm assuming there are certain people who owe you money and there is a cutoff. Like, so if somebody owes you 2 lakhs, sometimes you don't even follow that up because it's not worth your time. And then suddenly you start a business wherein every 1,000 rupees makes a difference to your top and bottom line. So that paradigm shift mentally was a very big change. I think to start a new business, one has to accept that you have to kind of start with zero mentally. That I found it very difficult personally, and I had to learn how to milk cows. I'm not joking. I had to learn how to deliver milk on a bike just to understand the crux of the business. Not that Murthy sir asked me to do that, but that's one of the things. That is the tradition in my family, to know the business very, very well. And once your family sees you doing something with so much gusto, I think support kind of follows. So that later became very easy. I mean, I hope that answers your question. I don't know if it does.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I think the one thing which always happens when you move from a legacy business into a new age business is there is a bright possibility, and I will not discount it, because if somebody has been doing legacy business or a family owned business for the last 5, 10, 15 years, is there any baggage that you carry of old age business into the new age business? Because new age businesses need to be more, you need to have innovation, technology, you need to be more agile, and whether people like it or not, there is a sense of comfort that is there in your legacy business. So what's your take on that? Sidharth, although I know that you have been doing your business for a while, but I'm sure that if you were to ever start a business, is there a possibility you're going to be carrying some kind of baggage into the new business?
I would like to address it differently. We always have this, I think the fancy about startup. What is startup? Startup is the group of people who are with passion, what you like. Second is disruption. You think something radical, innovative. So today in this innovative or so fast changing world, startup can be in your own company. See, if I am passionate about my business and I am opening a factory, a new place, a new thought process, that's a new startup. Why I have to start something entirely new, which I have no idea? It's better I do in the field which I have worked. So I think I am starting 2 more startups in my company. And I think it differently. I hire the people differently, and the thought process is different. So we can have startups in our own companies, just how you perceive it. So that is my call. Is not like we have to only have, like you're doing a plastic business or you have to do IT business or something. अपने बिजनेस में अगर हम लोग पैशनेट हैं तो अपने बिजनेस में हम लोग स्टार्टअप चालू कर सकते हैं, और हमसे अच्छा अपना बिजनेस कौन समझ सकता है? So let us think in that passion, that form. Disruption is going to be there. आज की डेट में जितना fast disruption है, I think it is going to be more and more difficult to catch up. So everyone is passing through that phase, and in that era, we have to think about like a startup in our business.
God, well, good round of applause for my friend here. There's a lot of support. I like it. Yeah, Sharad, go ahead.
So I think the emotional baggage is immense. I mean, I cannot say this enough. There's so much emotional baggage because, first of all, your immediate family will never own up to it. In fact, ma'am and I were talking about it. One of my family members, actually, I know properly, went up to random people when they were asking him, Sharad, क्या कर रहा है आजकल? Like, नहीं, वो सब CSR है. गायों के साथ काम कर रहा है. So that's the extent of things sometimes, and you have to ride the wave. You don't have a choice. Only thing that does finally speak louder than them is your success, and which, if you put enough hard work into it, and like Sidharth very rightly said, there is nothing fancy or romantic about a startup according to me. I subscribe to his thought process completely, and to further his premise, I think it is very serious hard work. I mean physically also, it's very intense. If you're not willing to do that, then, I mean, there is no way. And that will cause more emotional baggage actually. And on a physical side, yes, of course, in our legacy businesses, you kind of enter at the top echelon, which means people smarter than you kind of become your sycophants. I mean, they're all like, yes sir, 3 bags full. And then suddenly you started something new where the total number of staff is probably 5 or 7. So that physically also, again, like I said, mentally, it takes its own toll, yes. So yeah, I think there is a lot of baggage you carry, but you have to cut it somewhere.
True. Sir?
So I feel that, of course, there are learnings that I took from my family business. Not any baggage, if I may call it. what I really realized is that in family businesses, you generally, strive and thrive for growth, profits. But in startups, you generally thrive for purpose. And it is very difficult to, if anyone would have gone through that activity, to find a purpose for yourself and finding a purpose for the organization that you are building is one of the most challenging things. Now, when you find a purpose and when you want to achieve it, that is where your excitement, your adrenaline comes in. And that's what keeps me working day in, day out. That was the biggest, if I may say, the biggest shift in my mindset. Because I had a shift in my mindset, I started learning new things. The whole objective towards things changed, right? And you don't really run after smaller things, or you don't really run after profits or sustainability. You probably run after, how can I get this done? How can I be more passionate to fulfill my purpose? So of course, I did bring the skills that I learned in my family businesses to fulfill my purpose. So for me, it has been best of the both worlds.
Awesome. Now, a very important aspect. Yeah. Yeah, you can applaud nicely also. That's okay. Yeah. हम लोग ताली बजाने में जो शर्म करते हैं ना, वो गलत है. So at the count of 3, I want people to wake up. जिनको अच्छा लगा है, जोर से ताली बजाइएगा. 1, 2, 3. साइंटिफिकली ताली बजाना अच्छा होता है क्योंकि ब्लड सर्कुलेशन इंप्रूव होता है आपके हाथ में, और रिजल्टेंट इज ऑल्सो ब्रेन में भी इंप्रूवमेंट होता है. आई जस्ट मेड इट अप जस्ट नाउ, so that was important. Now, since he talked about profit, right? So profit is one thing which legacy businesses definitely look at. But new age businesses में अगर आप देखेंगे तो क्या होता है? People think and talk only about one thing, that is valuation. And valuation comes later. People don't understand, and I think legacy business owners will understand the fact that create value first and valuation will follow automatically, right? So value creation first and valuation. To all the 3 people on the panel, what is your take, or what do you think, or what is your favorite? Is it profit that you think of, or valuation? Because both are different worlds and both are successful. Let's not discount that. We cannot say nahi, jin companiyon ne valuation nahi kiya wo to bekar companies hain, kuch nahi kar rahi. Most of the startups today which have become unicorn are not still profitable, but the valuation and the value creation also has been pretty humongous that way. Sarth, what do you think? What is your take?
Okay, so there is a very simple sort of a graph on XYZ axis wherein you look at how the curve goes, right? Now, the early stage companies cannot survive on profits. They have to survive on valuation. As they grow, they start surviving on the internal rate of returns. As they become more mature companies, they go for more of a profits and dividends. And then there is a stage where these companies dies, right? And you talk about any company, or you talk about the largest company at one point, GE, now they are into dying phase. So at every different stage, the matrix which helps you judge a company is different. So at one point, profits are important. At one point, the valuation is important. So I would say it's a mix, and it's the more of a articulated way of judging a business. A company which has a future is based on its valuation. The company which is based on its present or in past is mostly valued on its cash flows or its profitability. So these are 2 different ways. You can't basically judge a same business via valuation or via cash flows. So these are 2 different businesses. These are 2 different calculations.
So specifically why I asked you this question also is because you invest in startups. So what really happens, initially there is no profit.
Yeah.
Right? And so do you look at companies which at least have a decent path to profitability, or you say, I don't really care whether this company will make profit in the next 5 years, but I see that there is going to be value creation and valuation in the future, so let me take that punt and invest in that business? So
this is one of my core strengths, by the way. I don't look at what startups can do for me. I look what I can do for the startups. And that's where I don't call myself a traditional investor, because these guys come with a lot of jargons and I don't come. And that is one thing that I've learned from my family business. What you can do with the given resources that you have. Now, if I go and see which is the best startup in the world, then I'll probably be searching throughout my life and never find a single opportunity. The other way around is whatever you have it, how can you make the best out of it? So in all my investments, I am very, very sure that if money was one thing that would have made them successful, then every startup would have been successful. So it's not just the investment. It's the other things that I bring, and that is mostly that I've learned from my family business and SP Jain, right? So I would say that I don't look into startups from a valuation point of view. I just look at what I can make the best out of them, and I do my best out of it.
Awesome. No, that's pretty good. I think it's important that as not only investors but mentors and advisors, that is what people bring onto the table. It's not necessary capital does everything. There is a lot more to that. In fact, I was speaking to somebody and they said, we all have some great ideas of business. I said, all of us have great ideas. 3 of us sit together till midnight. We'll have some great disruptive ideas. But the proof of the pudding is in the execution.
So most of my investment bankers actually hate me, because they say that we bring you a deal at a certain valuation, and the founder is so keen to sell his equity to you that he is ready to go at any valuation with you. Because, I don't sell them capital at all.
True.
If I have to sell my capital, then probably, they'll sell me at a IRR, wherein I want 10x or 15x or 20x, right? We are working on couple of startups where we are assuming we'll have a 80x to 100x growth in 5 years, which is exponential, right? So that just cannot be done by capital at all.
Agreed. Sharad, profit or valuation?
So I'm from the SPJIMR FMB school of thought. Profit, profit, profit. I think Gaurav can say it best. I think, what was it? Turnover is vanity, something is sanity, balance is sanity and cash is king, right? Yeah. Huh? That's the one. Am I doing it right? Yeah. So then it's been knocked into us for a while. I totally subscribe to it. I don't know enough about startups in general, so I can't speak very intelligently about valuation. I think valuation, if you look at the word itself, creating value for your customer is something I understand, and I can tell you is something I am very keen on. I think, which is something we've been taught from day one by sir and other professors. I'm really at a loss in terms of valuations. I can't speak intelligently.
Awesome. Sidharth, I was speaking to him during the coffee break, and he was talking about the fact that I asked him, do you invest in startups? Yeah, I invest only in the stock market. So is it because the companies there are profitable and the fact, or you don't want to take a risk, or you don't believe in the concept of valuation like Sharad?
See, I invest only in my company. So see, just Professor Moti has taught. Ultimately, महीने के end में bottom line में क्या मिलाना वो अपना है. Valuation is also what? Ultimately, discounted cash flow ये है कि आप सोचोगे 10 साल बाद में इसको इतना profit मिलेगा, उसका मुझे मिलेगा, तो उसका discounted you want to buy it cheap and you want to do it. So at the end of the day, it is the cash flow. It is what is the net profit. महीने के end में, साल के end में आपको क्या मिला. But I will just add on to this valuation or profit. The question should be, what is the purpose? See, like we all three sitting in the same panel, and we all have different purpose. So purpose will determine whether valuation is important or the profit is important. If my purpose is to make a company where I can impact in the life of the people, just to share, like, my Mamaji passed away last week, and I was in the Shok Sabha, and was close to me. Before 7 days before, he was just saying कि भाई मेरे को will लिखनी है, मेरे को कितना पैसा है ये, और 7 दिन बाद मैं ऐसे ही बैठा था शोक सभा में, और अब मेरे का सब पैसा तो चला गया. The only thing which was impacting is like how many people have come and who really are interested in him. So that is what you live in this world. Okay, so that is I'm little emotional, but that is my call. So I work for, like, I want to create a company where I can have impact on the people and not for the money.
Well said. When Sidharth was talking about the fact that valuation कुछ नहीं, profit, घर में सब पैसा आता है, unfortunately today I am on this side of the table being a host, etc. I can have a great discussion with you for the next 2 hours and people really enjoy it. But we'll keep it for some other day because I believe a lot in valuation, value creation, profitability, everything. But yeah, that's how I think our individual choices that we've made.
I would like to add one more thing, like you said regarding execution. One of the finest example which I just realized of the execution is when we created this event, Virasat, okay. And that time it was on the, Ashish, if you remember, then we were thinking of the names. The 10 names came. And then Tulsi ma'am finalized like Virasat would be the name. It was like 6-8 months back. And today it has become such a hit show. वो एक thought था और आज एक execution है. So that is like from thought to execution is like superb. And like we should all clap that we made it happen.
I'm really happy to feel the nostalgia here, and Tulsi ma'am has also told me to come back to SP Jain as a visiting faculty. It's a tough one this time, but yeah, the students are much more aware, read, so it is great. Now, so this is to Sarth and Sharad specifically, since you have branched out to new businesses. Was there any fear of failure? You had successful family businesses. Log kya kahenge? Like Sharad, you said that, what if I fail? 10 people will come and tell my father or my parents or people at home saying, "Ye kya karta rehta hai?" It reminds me of the movie 3 Idiots also. So what do you think?
Can I
go ahead, Sharad, go ahead.
So yeah, it's a very real fear, and it is sleepless nights, waking up sweating, definitely. It's, I think it's, Indira Nui called it the, what syndrome? I think, I'm forgetting, it slips me right now, but the point is you're always insecure, in a constant state of insecurity, which I personally believe leads to success. If you are complacent and happy where you are, you're not growing, and that anybody can tell you. You don't need me to tell you that. I think in life, the fear of failure should be an ever-present, at the back of your mind, should be an ever-present sort of shadow. And if it's doing its job right, according to me, then it's carrying you every morning to get you going. And more so when you're coming from a legacy business, because it's not your reputation at all that you're worried about. It's your parents, your everything, your grandparents, in most cases 3-4 generations. And I think that it is something to be respected, not ignored, but at the same time not feared. I mean, I personally feel that if you embrace it and let it push you every morning, then it ends up becoming a strength. That is the way I see it. And a lot of people go with the mindset, okay, what if I fail, and I go back to my legacy business. And that is not, according to me, not the right way of looking at it at all. You're not doing justice to either of the businesses. One, you're not 100% committed to what you've given birth to. And two, as a failure, you're going back just because, you have that facility or that providedness. It doesn't work out, according to me. I mean, that's my take on it. So I think the fear of failure is a very positive thing. It's actually one of the best things to happen to any human if you're starting something new, or even regardless of that.
Sir,
I wouldn't say I had a fear of failure. I mean, I had a risk at leaving a ongoing growing business. So that was my fear. But I mean, that was also not my fear. So I was more, I was more driven by the excitement, and I was looking forward. So it's like, you're going for a trip. Now, when you're going for a trip, of course, there could be an adventure on the way. There could be, it could be risky also, but that's the whole game, right? So for me, it was just a thrill and excitement, and it absolutely given me a lot of satisfaction. But, just to adding to one point, Sidharth, you were saying, as a family business, I really want to make a point that if you keep a candle, right, and if you keep a bulb, even if you make 100 times growth in the candle, it will never become a bulb. It's a different product itself. You have to think from a grounds up. You have to think differently. And I mean, I'm taking these courses on design thinking, which basically starts with your empathy and all. But sometimes what happens is in a family business, you start looking at what is best that I can do in this. But sometimes even the best in that particular business is not going to result in something which is necessarily required in the future. So we have to, you can have a same customer audience, you can have same channel of distribution or whatever it is, but sometimes as a family business you get stuck in a candle wherein there is a bulb in the market, right? These are two different products. So I would really urge that as a family business we should take that sort of exploratory journey outside our businesses and look what is happening, because you never know, a small disruption can actually wipe out the whole industry, and that has happened, right? So that is something that every family business should look at least once in 3 to 5 years.
No, that's a great insight. Now coming to entrepreneurship per se, and I can see a room full of entrepreneurs, obviously they are academicians, etc. as well. Now entrepreneurship is very contagious. How is it contagious? ये करता है ना, मैं भी करूँगा यार, तेरा तो बहुत बढ़िया हो गया यार, अब तो नौकरी नहीं करता है, entrepreneurship में आ गया है. That's great. It is very adventurous. Like how Sarth said that along the way there will be adventure, you don't even imagine what's going to happen. Because every day is a brand new day. Even if you are into an established business, you never rest. You are always on your toes and you keep running around just to ensure that you find your purpose and do a lot of things. And last but not the least, I think it's important that it is very addictive as well. As I say, once an entrepreneur, always an entrepreneur, unless and until you really decide to go to the Himalayas and chill in life. Serial entrepreneurship is obviously more difficult than anything else, and at least people out here I can see on the panel, they're serial entrepreneurs also. Legacy business bhi hai, new age business bhi hai, and also maybe ready to do another business, right? So this is the last question, so you don't have to worry about the timing in this case. What are the characteristics according to you of a serial entrepreneur, and how do you really balance between a legacy business and a new age business that you are doing? I'm assuming that you are also contributing to your legacy business. If not, then the question is, what are the characteristics of a serial entrepreneur in this case? Sarth, we begin with you and we end with Sidharth out here.
So, I would not say those traditional words like persistent and all that. I would say somebody who's very inquisitive, somebody who is notorious in his mind, but a decent guy who looks, when it comes to the public figure. But somebody who's extremely notorious in his mind, who keep thinking and tinkering, if I do this, what will be the outcome? If I do this, what can be the outcome? Can I take one small step? Let me talk to 10 more people. Let me speak to 3 more people. One thing which is very important, which I have seen, is networking, talking to people, being approachable and approaching people. That is one of most important qualities of a serial entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, when you go and explore into new businesses, the first thing that happens is that you have to go and meet people. Somebody who's shy inside will never be able to really, explore into businesses. I'm not saying that he needs to be outgoing or an outlier, but definitely who's ready to approach people and get approached. So for me, that one quality stands literally out. Now, if you ask me, the 3 things which really differentiate any guy with any serial entrepreneur is mindset, synergies, and scalability, right? If the guy thinks about these 3 things, he's a serial entrepreneur for me. So that's how I would judge.
Fantastic. Sharad. So he talked about mindset, he talks about synergy, and he talks about scalability. Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, and this is my humble opinion, anybody, when you say the word serial entrepreneur, it means somebody who's doing it as a series, over a period of time. There's this very interesting book I'd read and I'd like to quote, is called The Comfort Crisis. Now, according to me, anybody who's comfortable with the idea of coming out of their comfort zone is qualified, in my book, as a serial entrepreneur. The whole idea behind not being complacent, resting on your laurels, is what an entrepreneur is. Somebody who's not, never satisfied, obviously constantly moving, and comfortable with the idea of coming out of his comfort zone. That is in my definition of it.
Awesome. Sidharth.
So I don't think I'm still qualified enough to give that gyan. But what is today's my learning, I can share that because we have some great speaker, and what Mr. Nitin Gadkari ji said, what struck me the most, and what I believe is human relation. So if you have to be successful, you have to have good human relations, you have to humble, and दिल बड़ा रखो, जो उन्होंने बोला. और जो एक चीज़ जो मैं हमेशा सोचता हूँ, which has helped me in life, I just want to share, कि अगर कोई चीज़ का 50-50 हम करते हैं, तो 50-50 कभी नहीं होता. अगर मेरे को 50-50 करना है, तो मेरे को उसको 51 देना होगा, तो 50 होगा. Then is the 49 it happens. Because वो 50 मेरे point of view से है.
Agreed.
So,
but Amit, you know, what we really need to distinguish is that there is a difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur, right? So, entrepreneur may not be a businessman, and businessman may not be an entrepreneur. We generally mix these terms, and that is where a lot of people try and enter into each other's territory, right? So, we must look at and differentiate very clearly what is an entrepreneur and what is a businessman.
One more thing I to add, last point, कि हम लोग को MBA स्कूल में सर ने यही सिखाया कि आज अपन सुबह से लेके शाम तक, सुबह से लेके we have spent one day of our life here. So before going home, let us take a note what we have take away for today's learning, and let us try to implement that, and that is our earning of today. As an entrepreneur, we should do that.
Awesome, that's true. And my takeaway is that I've interacted with some fantastic people today. I've interacted with this lovely panel.